All right, everybody. Jonathan here. We are going with Grinding Gears, episode 5. It is July 6th, so we're just after July 4th. So we're going to give a nice big shout out to all of our men and women of the armed forces who have served. We got flags and everything. We're going all patriotic on this. Yeah, okay. But seriously though, we actually had a pretty crazy discussion. I think some of us were in on about how some people don't care for Independence Day, but here we believe in America. Might not be the government, but America as a people. Keep it going.
America.
That's right.
Amen.
So on this episode, we're actually going to kind of stay away from, well, not stay away from gear, but we're not going to have a main focal point except for we're going to discuss some of our favorite Gear Talk posts, some that are currently going. Seeing as some people are not in Gear Talk as of right now, I did not get banned. That was a very common assumption.
I straighten people out for you.
Well, it's believable. If you guys haven't seen me on there, I do push the lines. I've had some admins send me a couple messages, tell me to, knock it out. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So we're going to go, I think we'll actually list, the first one we had on was, so what's the secret to your tone? That's a very common discussion. What's the secret to your tone? Everyone will say it's my fingers. I'm somewhat of a believer in that for the most part. But, I'm going to do a little demonstration. I actually had this kind of planned out. So I've been working on this Tele. This one's one of my new babies. It's an American Standard. It's a great guitar, so I'm going to play this riff for you really quick. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it sound okay? All right. Kind of my point on that is if you don't have an electric guitar plugged into anything, you don't really have that much of a tone anyways. So I believe that there are layers to your tone. Certain things affect it. Yes, you do have your own style. I think when people say fingers, I understand that there is a little bit of the way it sounds coming from your fingers. But honestly, I feel like most people are talking about a certain style, not so much a tone that comes from that.
I agree.
I think we're using the word tone there wrong in the sense of it comes from my fingers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the bases for my tones. When I put my pedal board together, it's kind of a law of, addition. I add stuff on, but I always start with one pedal that I work everything off of, whether it be my drives or anything like that, and that's my Prince of Tone. It's the one that usually I have it on. If I want to dial back, I'll just turn my volume down. But I would say that's probably the basis of my tone. There was a good response by Jeff Clemens, who said that he smokes his tubes in Applewood for 15 hours. So, Richard, what would you say is the basis for your tone? The secret?
I think going off of what you said, I think probably 0% of your tone comes from your fingers. Your style comes from your fingers, your playing comes from your fingers, but your tone, if it's not plugged into anything, for most people on Gear Talk who are saying my tone is in my fingers, they have pedal boards with 20 pedals on them. It's not really coming from your fingers when you got that going on. But for me, I'm mainly a bass player at church, so for me, my tone is from my Fender Modern Player Jazz Bass, which I love. It's a dual humbucker bass, so it gets rid of that jazz bass single coil hum really well. I love it. Into a Fender Rumble 100, and because I go to a church with a really weird building, I can only turn my amp up to like 1 or 2. So a lot of my tone is just in the way I respond to the strings and my finger attack when I'm plucking. That's where a lot of my tone comes from. If I want a little bit harder, I'll dig in a little more, and if I want to pull it back, I just play a little lighter. So I think that's where a ton of my tone comes from.
And then Josh,
I'm going to say that your tone really mostly comes from your amp. And I always tell people, give them the advice, what should I get? What should I get? I say, find out who you like, what musicians you like, and who you want to sound like. If you want to sound like John Mayer, go for a vintage Fender tube with a Strat. If you want to sound like Zach Wilde, go for a high gain Marshall, like with a Les Paul with humbuckers. How I basically build my tone is I like to dial in my amp clean, and then just from there keep working on adjusting the pedals. And I'm never actually finally done. I'll have a sound that I like for 3 months. I'm like, okay, I'm going to adjust that slightly because I feel like I'm going this way, and I'll change the the settings on the pedals. When people say the tone comes from the fingers, I do believe there is a lot of techniques from how you pluck and strum.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're going for a lighter strum and plucking to get less of a push and a drive from your pedals and your amp. So to me, it's a combination, but I'm going to say the biggest contributor to your tone is what kind of amp you're using.
Cool.
I have a question for Josh. You play a Marshall, right?
I do play Marshall.
It's pretty rare in my experience to see people who play Marshalls and run them clean. Why do you do that and not use the Marshall tone? I mean, Marshall's famous for that crunch, that distortion, and you're playing a Marshall clean. That's not something that happens very often.
I know. I really do like the drive channel on the Marshall. It's a 3-channel Marshall, so it's got clean, crunch, as they call it, and then the lead setting is just over the top, gain, dirty, fuzzy, hissy, not really a clean gain sound. The reason why I run it on a clean channel with pedals is I have it running about 50 feet away in a side room, and my foot switcher doesn't run that far. I've contemplated rearranging the stage, but then I got to push the bass player away from the drummer, and that's just not a good thing to do. So I'm far away from the amp. That's why.
Yeah.
Good.
That's like with my amp is actually a single channel, and I went that route. Number one, it was cheaper, which I think it's weird that you see people who run these Mesa triple Rex with 28 channels, and they're using 20 pedals, and that one just kind of doesn't make any sense to me. But we'll get back to that. So we're gonna do a shout out really quick. Brian Goff, he got into an accident this past week. He's not able to be with us on here today. He survived, so he's still with us. He's just not able to be on this chat. So he said he's going to watch this. And Brian, if you really do watch this, text me the word banana or the words banana pudding, so I know. Since you said that you were going to watch it to find it. So next we're going to go to. It's actually Richard was wondering who our favorite guitarists were and why.
That was someone on Gear Talk wondering. I just copied and pasted.
Oh. Well, since Richard doesn't want to know, but someone on Gear Talk wants to know, and because they're asking on Gear Talk, they're asking me directly, so I'll answer that. Some of my favorite guitarists, John Mayer. I mean, of course, a lot of people are going to say that, but honestly, in my opinion, whenever it comes to in the past about 15 years or so, he's probably one of the most popular actual guitar players. He brings styles from all the way around. He's done everything from the poppy music, moving into his kind of bluesy into country, and John Mayer trio. If you haven't picked up the Try album, you're really missing out with Pino Palladino and Steve Jordan. Yeah. Steve
Jordan, great drummer.
So Pino, he's amazing. If you don't know who Pino Palladino is, he's played with he plays for the Who. I believe he's still doing that gig. Whenever they go on tour, he's actually in Nine Inch Nails right now, which we all know means he only lasts this tour. But Yeah, I saw Nine Inch Nails back in November, or it was October in Nashville, and I'm looking down and I'm sitting here, I'm like, that tall, goofy guy looks like Pino Palladino. I
Why
was
is
like,
their bass
oh,
player 8 feet tall?
yeah, dude, I freaked out. It really was him. So, I mean, if you haven't listened to Nine Inch Nails' new album, Hesitation Marks, it is by far the best album I think that's been released in the past 5 years. Whether you like Nine Inch Nails or not, it's a very diverse album.
That's good.
So, some of them, all right, getting off topic. All right, favorite guitar players. John Mayer. My gosh, it's David Gilmour. He's done so much. Jimmy
I know that's
Page.
Kevin's favorite also.
David Gilmour is Kevin's absolute. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I think he's his favorite ever. I mean, I know he does a lot of Gilmore covers, a lot of Pink Floyd covers.
Yeah, he's up there on lists of people I really like. It's hard to list all of them. I'll probably just stay with that. I'll think of a couple more when you guys start listing them. I'll go. That's all. Oh, Steve Zahn in The Wonders.
Yes.
Yeah. I like his side project, Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Yes.
That was awesome. So, Josh, name some of your favorite guitarists.
Yeah, of course, I'm really big into John Mayer. I've liked him for a while.
Wait, hold on. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan. How did I not say that?
SRV. But yeah, John Mayer. I like him because, like I said, he's been able to transverse a lot of different styles, but he's just got a very simplistic tone, while it's also being very complex.
Definitely.
I also really like, his name's escaping me now, but the guy from Sixpence None the Richer, he's got a very thumbprint type tone and style that not a lot of people have been able to replicate.
Very distinctive.
Yeah, very distinct.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very pleasing tone. So those are two of the guitarists that I really like. And number 3, I've really been digging lately on Pete Thorne. Pete Thorne's amazing.
He's in, was he Radiohead? Or what is he in? He's in art.
No, he does independent stuff. He's been a studio musician, picked up by touring. I think one of the biggest names he played for was Melissa Etheridge for a while. And it's not really a name that we would be listening to. But
Dude, hey, listen,
whatever, dude.
Etheridge, dude. I'll rock
Melissa Etheridge. You know,
her and Alanis Morissette. When I'm on my period, that's my stuff right there.
Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill is my favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, man. One of the greatest albums.
Oh.
But yeah, Pete Thorne, check him out. He's got a great solo project. It's just instrumental guitar music, but the tones on there are crazy. I mean, just absolutely insane tones.
I'm trying to think. Tom Petty's guitarist. Mike. I can't remember. No, Mike McCready's from Pearl Jam. He's awesome too.
He's good.
Very good.
McCready. What's just go on without me. What's his, are you looking him up really quick? I see Josh looking up into the heavens.
Oh, I'm definitely looking in the heavens. That's what I love about dual screens. I can do one thing here and here.
Then you're on that, Josh. All right, let's go to Richard really quick. What's favorite guitar?
Number 1, probably John Mayer. I remember when he first came out with, was it No Such Thing was his first album? His first mainstream album?
Yeah, Room for Squares.
Room for Squares. My bad. Room for Squares. I thought that he was the funniest thing ever. I mean, Your Body is a Wonderland coming out, and that's the song you make fun of.
Yeah.
But then when he started coming out with other things, it was like, man, this dude is legit. And he went from like the bubblegum pop stuff to full-on blues. I mean, he's covered a ton of ground, like you guys said. So for me, he's number 1 right now.
Dude, Neon from that album was amazing.
Yes.
Neon is ridiculous. I mean,
tuning your E down to C. And I don't know if you've played it. I mean, if you've seen him play, he does this weird thing.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Carpal tunnel, dude. It's kind of
he's gonna have it by the time he's 40 for sure. But yeah, he's ridiculous.
So there was a guy on Gear Talk. I'm gonna sorry, we'll go back to your favorite guitar players.
No problem.
But guy on Gear Talk, one of my favorite things, where you guys are showing it to me. He wanted to sound like John Mayer.
This was awesome.
I think but because he doesn't need to practice anymore.
No, it was lessons won't do anything for me.
Yes.
Lessons couldn't teach me anything. I'm already a great guitar player.
So here's the thing about John Mayer's tone that a lot of the new players or people don't realize. If you're playing anything John Mayer with a pick, it will sound nothing like him. He doesn't play with picks. Have you guys ever noticed that?
It's in the fingers.
It's all in his fingers, guys. It's all. No, and he owns how many Dumbles does he own?
I don't know. I know he's got several,
I
and
think
I know
I
he plays
saw-
Two Rocks also.
Two Rocks.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah, I
Rocks,
did a-
Dumbles, and old Fenders, I think is what he goes with.
Fender
Yeah, I
bass.
saw a rig rundown of his live setup, and it was one Dumble, one Two Rock, and I think 2 vintage Fenders was his rig rundown on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then, I mean, didn't he run? I know there was a lot of people who were jumping for the JHS Morning Glory. Didn't he rock one of those at one point? Does anyone know about that?
I'm not sure. I know he's went through like a ton of different Tube Screamer type drives, and then he puts in other drives also.
Keeley
I know
Quintana was he runs that before the amp to give it a little break up.
I think he ran the Blues driver for a little bit. I think it was a Keeley modded Blues driver. I'm not sure, but I think he ran a Blues driver for a while.
Adam E-Lizard, you know about that?
Yeah. He had one. He was trying to trade anything for that thing.
I remember one time I messaged him and I said, "Yeah, I'll trade you a stick of gum." I said, "I'll trade you for it," and he said, "What did you have?" I said, "A stick of gum." Felt kind of like a jerk. All right, so Richard, you said John Mayer. What's some other guitar players?
John Mayer, Mark Tremonti from Creed and Alter Bridge. I really like Mark Tremonti. Not so much his tone, but his actually playing. His actual playing is pretty good.
Miles
Solid.
underrated.
Miles Kennedy's definitely an underrated guitarist. I wouldn't put him in my top, but I would say he's an underrated guitarist for sure, especially if you ever look up Alter Bridge acoustic stuff and you see Miles actually playing guitar without any effects or anything. The dude's a legit guitar player.
He played in a jazz kind of. Wasn't that his first big thing? He played guitar in a kind of like a jazz.
I don't remember who it was, but something like that. Yeah, I know he started off as a guitarist and vocalist. Yeah,
Not much more. His solo stuff was awesome too.
His solo album's good. Yeah. His metal album. Another one for me, because of growing up in the 90s as a Christian kid, Stephen Curtis Chapman. I mean, Stephen Curtis Chapman can play the heck out of a guitar.
Yeah.
And then probably my other top would be Tommy Emmanuel, one of the top acoustic players in the world. And I saw him live, and for 90 minutes it was just him and an acoustic guitar, maybe longer. But it felt like I was only there for like 20 minutes because he was just so good. I was sitting there mesmerized. I mean, he's ridiculous.
Very fast,
Very
and very
fast.
accurate.
So
very accurate. Definitely.
All right, so let's do favorite bass guitarist because it's gonna be funny. I could probably list these guys out a lot easier than I could guitar players. So number one favorite bass player of all time of mine, Victor Wooten. I don't care what I don't care what you think you know how to do. Victor Wooten can school you. I saw him live. I shook the man's hand. I about cried. So I saw him live, and then another guitar player is his brother. I believe Reggie Wooten is the drum or is the guitar player.
I think Reggie's the guitarist, and then Future Man is the drummer.
Yeah,
for Bella Fleck. They all play in Bella Fleck.
Yeah, no, but Reggie is an amazing guitar. Victor Wooten is probably the number one. Stu Hamm is absolutely amazing. I'm trying to think of his name. The guy from Mr. Big. Billy Sheehan.
I can't remember.
Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan? Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing. Then, of course, you got to go with Jaco Pastorius. Got to give him.
He's got to be in there.
And then that's probably my top right there. But bass players. See, the thing about bass players is guitar players are a dime a dozen. You know, everyone plays guitar. What song can you play? Wonderwall. Bass players.
Oasis.
You got to get in that pocket. You've got to have the feel. I mean,
you got to lock in. That's what it's all about.
You can't, like, you can teach someone to play bass, and if they don't have rhythm, that's why they play punk. But to get a bass player who can lock in the pocket and just like do if you can get a bass player to turn my head, that's someone that I want to play with for a while.
Yeah.
So, Richard, favorite bass players I know. You're pretty much a bass player, drummer and bass player.
Drummer, bass, and acoustic are my main three things. I don't play any electric at all, really. I'm not like you guys. I know both your main instrument is electric. My favorite bass player of all time is probably Victor Wooten, same as you. I mean, the first thing I ever heard him do, it was my freshman year of college, and my roommate had Victor Wooten playing Amazing Grace on all harmonics playing.
Yeah,
And
that's
that was
great.
the first thing I ever heard him do, and it was like, who is this guy?
That was on the Bella Fleck tour, wasn't it? Because
No, I think this one was on like a the one I saw was on like a what's that word, like a instructional thing, like a workshop.
yeah, no,
He was doing a workshop.
I saw him do Classical Thump.
Mhm.
Yeah, I listened to it. I'm like, man, there's like 3 basses playing in that.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Mm-mm. Another project for bass players, if you're into bass players to check out, is there's a project with him, Marcus Miller, and is it Stanley Clark? It's called SMV, and it's the 3 of them together as like a bass trio, and they put out some awesome stuff. They play well together. They're not overpowering each other. They know when to step up and when to back out. They play well together. And then another top one for me has got to be Pino. Pino's played with everybody, so as far as studio musicians goes, that guy is like the standard, in my opinion. And one that really influenced my tone early on, or 2, they're both punk players, but 2 guys that influenced not my tone, but my playing early on were Mike Herrera of MXPX and Mark Hoppus of Blink-182. Those were 2 guys that got me into playing bass. I mean, those were the 2 guys that it was like, oh, playing bass is okay. It's not lame to play bass.
I remember learning how to play carousel. My first instrument was actually bass. I had a Squier P bass, one of the beginner packs. It was Baltic Blue.
That's what I learned to play on also.
And I remember when I first learned how to play carousel, correct, and holding the bass, holding the root note down and playing it. That was pretty cool. Hold on, which reminds me one more. The bass player from Mike Inez from In Alice in Chains right now.
Okay.
I saw Alice in Chains live a couple months ago, and he was flipping killer. So, was that all, Richard? Did you have anyone else you wanted to add?
Like you said, just guys like Jocko, a lot of the guys who kind of just brought bass into the forefront and made it cool to play bass. You know, other guys, like you could name other guys like Paul McCartney, John Entwistle from The Who. There's John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. There's guys like that who basically just revolutionized bass playing. Before them, it was just, you know, you play that note and you just stay in the pocket. They made it okay to embellish and do things.
You remember the guy? Have you seen the post? The Craigslist looking for a bass player.
Yes, that is my favorite Craigslist post of all time. Like some previous legal infractions, no schools, parks, or playgrounds, or previous legal hassles.
I like playing G, so if you play in any different key, you're gonna have to transpose it down for it.
And I charge you $50 per chord I have to learn.
Yeah, that was great. All right, Josh, bass players besides that guy.
Guys that we haven't listed that I'm really into, and I've said this for about a year now, I'm really digging Bruno Mars's bassist, Jamero Artis, I think his name is. The guy is just smooth and just accurate and just, like I said, it wasn't just riding the root note. He knows how to do walking bass lines that just sound really, really solid, and they add a lot to the song without taking away. The bass player for the Robbie Say band, he does a lot of really nice fills and whatnot. Robbie Say is out of the same church as David Crowder. And another bass player that I really like, going on a different route as what everyone else listed, but going more towards what Richard you said, Dion from Amberlin. He's got a really great dirty rock tone that just very driving and doesn't step on the drummer. It doesn't step on the guitarist at all.
I love the way that him and Nate Young, their drummer, they've locked in so well. They've got that locking in together. They just kill it. Even live, they're ridiculous. So I can agree with that.
Yeah, Dion and Nate, they're all over the stage and they're doing things that just by the end of the one song, I would be worn out. They have so much energy, start to finish.
I saw Amberlin live on Warped Tour back in '08, and Nate was kicking the crash drum with his shoe. Like, he was, instead of holding it on the hi-hat, he was kicking or hitting it with his knee, but he was kicking the crash drum. Sorry, not the crash drum, the crash cymbal. One of them, he was just kicking it, and it would make the sound like a crash. But it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's got long legs. I couldn't do that.
Wow. One that I couldn't remember his name was Stefan Lassard from Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, okay.
He's
Dave Matthews Band is a killer band. They're just a killer band.
All around. Like, it just...
They're all great.
It's unfair. And then one that... Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
Rush. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really known for... we went to see Rush, me and my wife, and she knew a little bit about Rush, not as much as I did. And she was like, wow, the bass player's actually really good. Like, I was like, yeah, like, they're all... That's why they're called... They're the Holy Trinity right there.
Oh, yeah, that's the power trio.
Yeah. But no, he's playing some killer bass lines while singing and everything. I mean, he just does a great job. So he's also up there. Should have been.
Can I add a couple Christian ones I really like?
No.
Yeah.
No, Jesus. The dude from Hillsong. I don't remember his name right now, but that guy is ridiculous. I remember the first time I ever had to learn how to play Mighty to Save. It's got a bass solo in the bridge. Huh?
Is that Joel Houston?
No. He's the lead singer. But I don't remember his name right now. It's a weird name. It's like only a first name. It's a weird one. But he's just ridiculous. I remember that solo gave me problems for like 2 weeks, and then
Kundi.
There you go. That's it.
It's Kundi. No, I'm just it's all about Kundi.
We're not talking Jesus culture here, John.
I don't know. We're on Doom Talk, so I'm just gonna yell Kundi. Metal Zone.
James Duke.
Hey, wait,
both those guys are killer players, though.
James Duke made a comment on my post, so
nice.
Bring it on. What?
Nice. What? You got all the P&W boys beat.
Well, I kind of felt bad because I was actually, the video I made, it wasn't making fun of his... All right, so he's starting a new consultation because he doesn't want it to be called lessons. He's more of consulting. So that's where I kind of got the idea from. If you guys didn't see it, you can check it out on my Facebook page. It's a new business I'm starting up. So I kind of was hoping, like, when they tagged him, I was like, I hope he doesn't see this and think I'm straight up, like, trying to insult him, which I wasn't. It was completely making fun of the people who shouldn't be doing it. So,
I think James is a dude that could legit be consulting people. I mean, he's made a living doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's just some dude in his basement.
No, I mean,
like us.
Yeah, but no, I think James, he's a phenomenal guitar player. I think it's funny the gear talk, praise and worship of the Duke. Like it's interesting. Like he's a great guitar player, and I completely understand, especially when you got a lot of these. You got a lot of these oversafe people on there where you can't listen to any secular music. You can't be influenced by anything secular because the devil is in the world, and we're not supposed to be of the world. You know, we only live in it, and good old King James version. But no, he's a phenomenal guitar player. I think it's even the funniest part of all of it is how much he absolutely has a disdain for all the fanboys. Like he mocks guys. He mocks you. That's why he posts the pictures away from his pedal board and says pedal board shot. He's literally making fun of you.
I like his new one where he actually stood on his pedal board. I'm just waiting for a fat guy to try that and crack pedals.
Me.
I was about to say, what are you talking to?
I know, but you haven't stood on your pedals yet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stand. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I love my pedals. Like,
you just stand on that 1 foot on the tone, 1 foot on the pearl, and see what happens.
Oh no.
Not knocking either one of those pedals at all. They're both killer pedals.
I don't need to be messaging Dan for another pearl. My wallet would not like it. So I forgot what we were talking about.
Favorite bass players. We just finished that up. Oh, my other Christian one is the dude from a band called El Trio de Hoy. They're a Latin band. If you haven't heard them, check them out. Their bass player is ridiculous.
I don't know the bass player, but Salvador.
Yeah, Salvador, good bass player too.
Yeah, no, Salvador, amazing bass player there. So the next one that we had listed was hashtag Bring Back Kevin.
Can I just say one thing?
Is it about bringing back Kevin?
No.
I hope so.
I'm so glad that no one in here listed Flea.
I'm actually a big Flea fan, but I would not put him top bass players of all time.
He's not my top favorite. I'm just so glad that we didn't list him.
Okay.
He's probably in my top 5, but he's not. Yeah. He's good. He's definitely good. With Flea, he knows music. My band teacher in high school used to play with the, I believe it was the San Francisco Philharmonic, and he was the first chair trumpet. But when Flea would come into town, he would sometimes sit in with them. And Flea would sight read the music for first chair trumpet and just kill it off of just sight reading.
Yeah. I'm happy to know that, actually. Really.
Yeah.
So good to hear that.
Dude. No, I'm just kidding. No, but bring back Kevin. We're gonna do that. So if any,
I hope that happens. I mean,
if any admin or Lance, if you're watching this, I doubt you are. But
I don't know why it would be.
Hashtag Bring Back Kevin. So the next post was, we're gonna discuss first Sunday guitar service at my wife's Lutheran church. Only one person asked if the pipe organ was broken. What? All right, can someone I couldn't you put that on there. You elaborate
all it said was like a picture of a guy's pedal board and his guitar. I just thought it was funny. I mean, I actually for work I go to a Mennonite church, and a couple months ago they had guitars in the main sanctuary for the first time since I've been there, and it's been about every other Sunday at least for 2 years that I've been there, and they've never had a guitar because the traditional service is organ and piano. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it was funny because I go through the same thing at church when I'm with work. I listen to an organ and a piano, and one guy standing in front or lady and going like this, and they're not even using actual hand signals. They're just like if you have any music experience, you know what hand signals look like. They're not using them. They're just waving their hands. All right, and when they're done, they go like this.
So I know how we'll tie that in. What was your absolute most horrible crash and burn? This could not get any worse experience playing. Doesn't have to be in church, anywhere. Richard.
I have 2. One was this morning. I haven't played at church since February, so I haven't played at all since February. I picked up my guitar, my acoustic, maybe 2 or 3 times since then. I haven't touched my bass at all. I should have before I played today, but I didn't. I was like, it's church. I can do this, whatever. And I show up because there's songs I can play in my sleep for the most part. But I show up today and we're playing. I think it's Your Grace Is Enough, and it was me on bass and my pastor's daughter, who isn't a drummer, on drums. And he stops the song. He points at me and he goes, "You, that's a C sharp. You play faster." And he's talking to his daughter, and I just lost it. Started cracking up. So I was playing a G sharp when it should have been a C sharp because I forgot that he changes the way he plays on the second line of the verse. He plays the first line like E, G sharp, A, and the second line he goes C sharp, B, A, and I forgot about the C sharp. So I was playing. No, I wasn't playing G sharp. I was playing E, and so he stopped it and yelled at me. And that was one because I've never been called out in the middle of service before. And then another one was we were playing a show at a harvest party for a church, and I fell through a flatbed trailer. Stage. The stage had a gap in it, and I didn't see it, and I stepped right through it. I went down up to my knee, went through the stage, and the rest of me is just standing there like this, trying to play bass or guitar, whatever I was playing at the time.
All right, Josh, crash and burn experience.
Let's see. The one, it was when I was actually in my band, not in a praise and worship setting. We were playing, and the lead singer, other guitarist, was having problems with his guitar. I guess the input jack was just screwy, so it was cutting in and out. So he takes off his guitar, and in between a line, he turns around and throws it, and it goes behind my amp. And I'm just kind of standing there in shock, what's going on? Because this was during a Battle of Bands set. And then after that happens, my whole entire rig just stops. There's no sound. I'm thinking I'm having a problem with one of my input jacks on my pedal board. I'm screwing around with this and that, trying out different guitars, and we're switching songs, and I don't have a guitar to play, and he's trying to play the piano. I'm like, I can't do anything. Come to find out, when he threw the guitar behind my amp, it knocked out the power cable to my amp. So I plugged it back in, was able to get up and going again. That was one of them. And the other one was we were having a Bible quiz event at my church, and they were doing throw together worship teams after tallying up all the scores, and the one team was just so bad. Everyone had different tempos, and they weren't playing all the same keys and whatnot. And I was running sound, so I just walked up on stage while they're playing and just grabbed the microphone out of the guy's hand. I was like, "Stop! This sucks. No more. Get off the stage." And I literally kicked him off the stage. So that was
I have one question.
Oh, what's that?
Did you win the Battle of the Bands?
No, we didn't win the Battle of Bands. We moved on. That was our last level that we moved on to. We got to that was the third level of the Battle of the Bands. And it was because of that night, with all of our difficulties, we were told that we should have been more prepared.
Ooh.
So,
all right. Well, my worst, probably my biggest crash and burn moment would have to. So it was totally one of those. You see them and on Gear Talk. So I go. It's the beginning of service. I got my power stance, ready to rock this intro. It's just me, no clicking, no nothing. I go and I play, no sound, absolutely nothing. I'm messing with my volume pedal and all this, and I'm like, what? No. I grabbed the guitar that wasn't plugged in. So I
grabbed the backup.
I grabbed my backup because what happened was, so I got a real bad habit, and after that I learned my lesson. So usually, if I'm doing guitar changes, I was leading at a church, but before that I played guitar at a church, and we'd rehearse before service, and usually, and the worship leader there, he plays in a lot of different keys. He's very musical in the sense of he knows what key it needs to be in, and he doesn't try to push it just to stay where you don't have to change keys. He does his best to flow the keys, but he usually, the order of service flows with the keys not changing constantly. But throughout the service, I usually end up using at least 2 guitars, because I don't like to capo on the fly. So usually I have one guitar capoed where I need it to be, and I have another one. What happens is we'll go through and I'll end up on the guitar that's not starting the service out. And that's what happened that time. I totally grabbed the wrong one and forgot to change the jack. I actually had a pedal made. If you've seen a picture of my pedal board, it's got the crummy switch up top. It's where I can have 3 guitars plugged in, and it goes all in. And so it's a 3 in, 1 out. So that way, if I ever have that problem again, I don't have to change cables and everything. I just hit what guitar I need to go to. But that was probably my biggest crash and burn moment.
It's actually a pretty good idea for that kind of a switch.
They actually added them to their pedal line. So if you're watching this and you think that's a really cool idea, I think last time I checked they were $99, which is pretty decent. It actually does not run on any power supply. There's a 9-volt battery inside that allows for the LEDs to light up. It has 3 separate LEDs to let you know which line in you're using. But for $99, it's a good investment. So now we're going to go to what are the 10. Just if we're reading your post on here and for some reason you happen to get on here, we totally picked it because it's probably one that's been asked like a million times, or it was just funny enough to be picked. What are the 10 commandments of the worship guitar? Number 1 is thou shalt not metal zone. I disagree with that. Metal zone used to be like 8.
It's not that high up there.
No.
That joke's overdone. It's done. Let it run its course. Let it die.
Yeah,
I mean,
like Randy's mom in the forest, just kill it. So I guess we won't do our top 10 commandments. What's a couple commandments that you think should be on the list, Richard?
Thou shalt not badmouth Chris Tomlin.
Yeah, don't talk
Bring
about
back Kevin.
Bring Kevin. Bring back Kevin.
Bring back Kevin.
Yeah, dude. Kevin didn't even join us tonight. He's been banned so hard he's not allowed on here.
Yeah, I blocked him.
Yeah, no Tomlin hating here.
No Glaudel for us. I think that's how you say his last name. I'm not sure.
I don't. Well, that's another one. We're gonna take bets on how to pronounce his last name. Glaudel.
I think it's Glaudel.
Glaudel. It sounds nice.
It could be Glaudel, but Glaudel sounds a lot cooler.
Yeah, it's like Joe Dierte. It's dirt. Don't fancy it up. Josh, what do you think it should be?
Be prepared. You know, get there early, tune up, make sure you get a check-in before things go.
See, that's why Josh wasn't God, because his commandments would have been 17 tablets. The first commandment, be on top.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I've done a lot of, I've done worship team for many years, and one of the worst things is, running in 2 minutes before service starts because you're frantic, you don't have a good time to check everything, and you just also put a lot of stress on your worship team as well.
Thou shalt not procrastinate.
What's that?
Thou shalt not procrastinate.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good one. Josh went the serious route.
Yeah. No, I'd have to say probably a commandment that should be upheld is, man, Josh, you took them all with that one. That's unfair.
I have another one, if you're thinking of one.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not piss off the sound guy.
That should be number one. I honestly think that should be.
Thou shalt not piss off the sound guy. I mean, because he controls everything. I mean, that dude can mute you if he feels like it, or he can take you down He can put you in your monitors if you're using in-ears and completely off in the house, and you'd never even know it.
Yeah.
I mean, the sound guy holds all the power, unless you're a drummer, and then you just laugh at him.
No, that's why we cage drummers so we can have power over them. Yeah, I honestly think thou shalt show up prepared. Here we go. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's guitar gear. That kills me. So I can't say much because I do have, when it comes in the realm of what some people have, I have a lot of what I'd consider expensive gear. My amp's not so much, but I do have all of your typical top-of-the-line pedals. I've got the JHS Pulp and Peel, the Pearl. I've got Prince of Tone. I've got the Time Factor, Blue Sky. I've got all those, but I've gotten those over years of trading. I mean, these guys can attest to it. They saw, a year ago compared to now, a lot of it's been trading, and I've sold a lot of stuff too. And all of my guitars are pretty decent. But man, there's nothing that kills me more than whenever you see someone who's got very middle of the road gear. They've got an Epi Les Paul. What's the top of the line Epiphone Les Pauls? What's the top? I mean, there's the traditional, the customs. Those are flipping great guitars. I don't care where it's made.
Especially for that price. I've played the Epi Les Paul, and it was the custom, and for under $800, that was a fantastic guitar.
I played it this morning. It was awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
No, but it kills me that you got these guys on here who've got they've got, and their pedal boards are like the workhorse pedal boards. They're the ones that they've got a DL4, and I've got a little kid running in. Yes, Jude. All right. Here, you guys take over really quick. Jude, you want to say hi to everyone? Hi. Can you wave?
Hi, Jude.
Hi. This is my littlest one. This is Jude. Do you play guitar? Are you gonna be shy?
He's not talking.
Hey, Jude.
All right, you guys talk really quick. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. All right, come on, let's go.
What were we talking about?
Commandments.
Commandments.
Oh, commandments.
All right, first of all, I just gotta say I absolutely love the fact that he's got Simpsons on in the background.
I just saw that. I was gonna comment on that right now. Yeah, I just saw that.
Commandments. I don't know. thou shalt play tastefully, and not all the time. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one. Know when to play, when not to play, when to be okay with not being in the forefront is a big one.
Right.
Especially coming from a drummer background, nothing would upset me more than guitar players who thought they had to be louder than me, because drums inherently are a very loud instrument, and so guitar players trying to outmatch me, they'd blow out everything by trying to turn up louder than me, even when I wasn't even playing hard.
So I'm kept jumping in halfway into the end of the conversation. One of my favorite things is I was taught this when I was about 16, and it's a really neat. If you don't know this, anytime you're listening to a recording, turn your volume down, and you know what the last thing you'll hear before it goes completely silent? What's the last instrument? So it's the loudest one.
The voice.
No, snare drum.
Yeah, because you got that crack.
Yep, try it. Come on.
I would understand that.
Yeah, it's
Makes
actually
sense.
very common. If you're turning down your music, the last thing you'll hear on there is the snare drum. It's because it's one of the biggest pops into accents. But I want to go back to my tangent really quick. Listen, if you've got a full drive 2 running into a carbon copy, this is also, I had a friend of mine come over today, and he's running the road-worn Fender Tele into a Ernie Ball volume pedal, into a full drive 2, into a carbon copy, into a Hall of Fame with a Polytune Noir, the Polytune Mini Noir, into
It's a great setup.
Well, into a 1980s PV trans tube. I don't know if it's trans tube, but it's a tube amp with a 15-inch speaker. It is what I consider almost perfectly middle of the road. Not a whole lot, not a whole little. And it sounded amazing. Like, I went and played on his rig more than I played on mine. Also, it was kind of new to me, but, the whole coveting people's stuff and wanting what, so-and-so has or something, like, go for your own tone. Like,
There's a reason that things like the FD2 and Tube Screamers and the DL4 and the Carbon Copy and the Ernie Ball volume pedal are industry standards.
Yeah.
They sound good and they're easy to replace.
the DL4, that delay pedal, my biggest problem that I had with it was the footprint. It's just
it's big.
It's a big pedal. That's like I had the Flashback X4, big pedal. And now
Is it bigger than the Time Factor?
Yes. Yes. The Time Factor is surprisingly small. When I got it,
it's more of a rectangle layout. The DL4 had that weird, like, it kind of bubbled out a little bit even.
No, not on the sides. It was.
No, in the top, it kind of bubbled. On the sides, it was like a rectangle kind of side, but on the top, and the bottom, it kind of went out like this, and they put the line 6 and the DL4.
No, but they're great pedals, and they're industry standards for a reason. So, like, the people who get these and they're constantly, like, if I see one more time I'm still in the Gear Talk Classifieds, but I absolutely hate, will buy timeline, have $410 PayPal ready, and it's like, it's $450 new, isn't it? Right?
Something like that. $450, $499. I don't know.
Something. Like, just buy it new. Like, you're saving $40. That's the one that blows my mind, how you got these pedals that lose $10 in value, but you've got these other pedals, like the DL4, that's $250 or $240 new, and
you can get them for $100 if you look.
I got one for $80 once.
What?
I got one for free.
Yeah, I got one for $80. I got it off Brian. Do you remember that? Brian.
Okay, yeah.
It was, or I think it was Cam. It was the 3-way trade that we had.
Yeah, the big 3-way trade.
I got it for $80, and I flipped it for $150.
Yeah, I think 150, between 140 and 160 is the going rate, I think, for the DL4 right now.
Yeah, but it just blows my mind, and I don't know. That's the one. That's probably
it's a great pedal, though.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I can't get some of the tones that it's the best dumb delay. I mean, I classify delays into two different. You've got smart delays, like your time factor and your timeline. And then you've got dumb delays, which just pretty much don't have digital readouts. They don't have all the parameters you can change like that. Like you've got the X4, the Flashback X4, the new Alter Ego X4, which I would flip and kill to get a hold of. If you've heard the thing, oh my gosh,
disgustingly good.
Well, what kills me is that all of those people want to do so many different delays now. They can't stick with one. I didn't even realize they had the Alter Ego as just a regular pedal. Do you know that?
Like a single pedal, like a regular size pedal?
Yeah, single pedal. Didn't even know that. But they've got the X4 now. Everyone's going to freak out over it.
Yeah.
So,
another big name delay that's not like as you would classify a smart delay would be the Panther. I mean, it's still a $500 delay. Or the Panther Cub now. They have the Cub. It's like, what, $300?
Yeah. I never messed with the Panther.
It never goes down.
Yeah, that thing is flipping expensive too. Though.
Yeah, JHS doesn't really depreciate too much. People are willing to pay for it for some reason. It's not like you can't get it new.
Yeah.
And Josh is still making pedals. I don't know why you would pay $500 for a used Panther.
I still think it's just crazy how I've got a buddy who I see me. He'll text me. He'll be like, "I just got the Super Bolt the next day. Super Bolt for trade for this." And I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think I've ever bought a pedal that I've absolutely, unless I completely intended to flip it. Like I got the RV5 with the intention of flipping it because I didn't.
You were that way with the Blue Sky, but then you fell in love with it, right? You were gonna flip it, but then you plugged it in.
Yeah, I got the Blue Sky. Yeah.
I remember that.
I'll give people background on this. So I didn't hate Strymon. I just wasn't going to fall into the
fanboy.
You know, I never said a bad word about Strymon. I mean, there's a reason why their pedals are, you know, they hold their value so well. They're sought after. So I got an RV5 with the intention of flipping it. I got it in a trade for a guitar. I got a bunch of pedals and stuff I knew I could flip. A DL4 being one of them. And I got the RV5 and I traded with a guy up in Canada. I gave him like $100 and some odd bucks in the RV5 for a Blue Sky, and I got the Blue Sky in and I didn't even plug it in. I wasn't going to plug it in. I was actually talking with Dan Burgess about buying his Disaster Transport Senior, his Earthquaker Devices pedal. Because I really wanted one of those. I played one of those, and I still want one. But I got one. I got it, and I honestly had a buyer lined up. This is the only time I've ever backed out of a deal. He said I can send you the money on Monday, and it was like Saturday. And so that night I plugged it in, and I messaged him, and I said, "I'm sorry, buddy, I can't go through." So yeah, that one. That was a tough one. So let's go ahead and move on, and I'll get over my. All right, Josh. I understand we need to move along. Yeah. By the way, guys, we're texting each other halfway through the time. So if we look down, it's going to be texting.
Josh text you?
Yeah.
I just texted everyone.
Guys, we need to move along. And I was trying to, and then Richard brought up the Blue Sky.
I'm sorry, Josh. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Just blame it on me. It's all Dick's fault.
So, yeah, we're completely multitasking. Richard, dang it, Kevin's not here for this one. This was another one that was on there. Anyone ever have trouble with FedEx shipping or updating your shipping?
I put that because of Kevin.
Yeah. My package has been in the same city since Wednesday, and it's not in my city. So, I guess we can translate that into anyone have any shipping disasters ever happen? Didn't Jonah, who was it who got that Blue Sky that was totally smashed?
I think it was Jonah's buddy.
Jonah's buddy.
Yeah. I believe it was Muncher. I think it was his buddy.
Yeah. I've never had a shipping disaster. I've had it where it hasn't updated, and then as soon as you post something, I would love to have seen the comments on that, because I'm sure there's someone who went on there that's like, they don't update constantly, it's periodically, and there could have been a storm outage, and yada, yada, yada. That's Kevin's thing, too. Kevin, if anyone doesn't know, Bring Back Kevin actually works for a major shipping company that is not FedEx, and they wear brown shorts. So you
and
can
shirts.
And shirts, and they've got big brown trucks, race the truck, you know, stuff like that.
Big ups.
He handles package
Yeah.
handlers.
But yeah, he is a package handler. So we usually, if we've got a package going through that particular company, he'll get a text message.
Three-letter word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an acronym. It's 3 letters. It actually spells a word that someone said.
DHL.
No, it's not. It's not NHL. But he said that, yeah, he'll get random text messages. Kevin, where's my package?
Can you check my tracking number for me?
Yeah. I still want someone to ship something from near Kevin, and it goes into his center. And he could write
If
it.
I got something shipped to me, it might go through Kevin because we live about 2 hours away from each other, hour and a half, 2 hours away from each other. So it could potentially go through Kevin if I got something shipped.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we'll jump on to. We're gonna not talk about handling packages right now. Josh wants to talk about current music we're listening to. Or was that a post?
No, that was Josh, I think.
That was me.
Well, let's move along, Josh.
Yeah.
Messages.
Let's close with that one. Keep it happy.
Okay.
And
Yeah, we're looking at you. What's up?
all right.
What music? Huh?
I don't know. Anyway, current music I'm listening to. The newest Frey album, Helios. I'm supposed to be seeing them at the end of this month. They've gone completely away from that piano acoustic tones they were doing early albums.
I like that.
Yeah,
I do
it's very
too.
good. It's got a very Midwestern indie rock feel to it now. Some really great writing. I'm also really right now digging the Magic, Don't Kill the Magic album. They have that single on the radio, Rude, reggae feel. Great writing, great playing. The guy's got great control over his voice. It's good to hear something other than the bubblegum pop like Britney Spears, Nicki Minaj junk that's on the radio. And I think these guys are going to be the next big thing like Maroon 5. And finally, the new Amberlin music. Lowborn is what their new album is. It's their final album.
It's not out yet, right? The album?
Not technically.
Okay.
Oh.
I have my connections to music stuff like that.
The Pirate Bay.
Nah, not the Pirate. No, they actually have some songs out right now on Spotify that you can sample for the new album. They've gone even deeper with the 80s new wave, and it is so good. And like I've been following them. I've been a big fan of Amberlin for many years, and I've been following them. I've been paying attention to the recording processes and what they've been doing. They did a lot of their recordings separate from each other, not in the same studio, and then they took all the tracks and brought them back together and mixed them that way. So it's really interesting to see how they did their stuff when they weren't near each other. You know, drums were at one studio, vocals at another studio, guitars at one studio. They had Aaron Marsh from Copeland working on their album. They've had other very big names in the indie music scene working on their album. So it's really cool to see how they did everything separate and came together, and they still have this very Amberlin-esque album that's also going in a new direction. It's very dark. It's a very 80s new wave, but writing quality on this album is top-notch.
All right. And then
That's my rant.
Richard, new music.
I don't really listen to a lot of new music because I don't listen to the radio, and then I just don't listen to new music very much. This week has been a lot of patriotic music for me. And Lee Greenwood, he's my man. I mean, God bless the USA. It doesn't get better than that.
Well, I know you've been listening to that one. What's that one song? La Bamba.
La Bamba. Yeah, absolutely. La Bamba. I listen to that all day at work. Garth Brooks at work.
Garth Brooks is the man.
I love Garth Brooks. I'm a big Garth Brooks fan, actually, but I listen to him a lot at work. We have a couple clients that love Garth Brooks. One client that loves Michael Jackson. Ramon Ayala is a big Spanish singer. Got a client who loves him. On my personal music listening, I haven't been listening to much new stuff. The newest thing I've been listening to, actually, for Valentine's Day this year, I got my wife the new Katy Perry CD, and I don't like the way it's mastered because the volume levels per song are all over the place, and I have to be kind of playing with the volume dial in the car and stuff. I don't like that. But the musicianship on that album is actually not bad. I don't think. She's got a good band for being a pop star.
Yeah.
And then Copeland is another band I've been listening to. Aaron Marsh's actual band. They're Beneath Medicine Tree. I've been listening to that.
Yes.
And then Under Oath albums I've been listening to.
I'm a very bad offender of not listening to a lot of new music. So the newest thing I've probably picked up it would be Hesitation Marks by Nine Inch Nails. Once again, if you haven't checked it out, one of the coolest songs on there, probably his best song on there, is a song called All Time Low. It's got a really funky kind of guitar part. You guys have got to check it out. I've been listening to that. I listened to Tremonti's CD that came out. But I've been mostly Alice in Chains new stuff. I check them out. Usually if I pick out new music, it's because I'm seeing a concert and it kind of brings it to the forefront. Right now I've really been going back through Nine Inch Nails' whole catalog and listening to it probably album at a time. Foo Fighters, Wasting Light, and
Love the Foo Fighters.
Wasting Light was such an amazing album. A lot of people were kind of against it just because it's new stuff. You know how people get whenever it first comes out. And after
is that the one they went back all analog on?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did it in his garage all on an old studio console.
Butch Vig, yeah. They I don't know if you didn't see the Sound City Reel to Reel documentary, I would suggest picking it up. I can't remember if they did that one on the Neve console. I think he got the console after the album was made. I can't really remember, but that's a really cool documentary to check out. The music on there is phenomenal. The song that they did with Corey Taylor was absolutely amazing. Stevie Nicks, she did a song on there that was great. I've also been listening to a lot of A Perfect Circle. I know if you're on Gear Talk Praise and Worship, you probably won't want to listen to that if you are very much against anything anti-religion. It's a really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of anti-religion in there, but musically it's a very great thing. And they also put out an album that had DJ mixes, and it's really cool to check out the different mixes that they had on the songs they did. But that's pretty much where I've been at music. Not a lot of new stuff. I want to pick up the new Jack White vinyl. I checked with my record store, and they are out as of right now. And so I think that's where we're at. Jude, do you want to say goodbye to everyone? Say hello.
Hi, Jude.
Hey, Jude.
They're saying hi. Say hi. So for everyone here, I'm Jonathan. I want to thank Josh and Richard for joining us, and we're going to say goodnight, everybody. Say goodnight. Did you say goodnight?
Bye.
See you next time.
See you guys
I
next time.
love you.